Hi, Sue Rose Minahan. Today is December 27th, 2020, and I'm going to talk about a subject that was brought up during the talk yesterday with the Moonbeam team, and somebody inquired about it, and I was most glad because it's about Einstein and relativity. Well, not so much about relativity, but about light, the speed of light. Now, really what it is in a nutshell is that NASA scientists, that they're working with quantum teleportation, that's the word. And it's where it travels faster than the speed of light. So that is true. And yet it's not happening immediately as far as the technology that we want to know about. And this particular person, I was so glad to get a response from somebody. I love Einstein. It's a mind-blowing measurement of consciousness. And so at any rate, I looked up the article, and it is, in fact, I'll do a screen share right now for it. It is this. It's Daily Mail in the UK. And this happens to be on the 22nd, I think, or actually it says the 26th. That's because it is, oops, the 26th that I'm doing this on, but wait a minute. Up here it says long distance quantum teleportation. So if you go down, generally the idea is, and I'm having trouble here. I'm just going to use my hand and get this thing under control. So it is quantum has been around for a while, as we know, and is continually to understand. It works with entanglement, where the two bodies instantly know the character of the other and they act accordingly. And it's been a collaboration. I bring these points up because if we look at the chart with the grand mutation in Aquarius, it specifies science. It specifies cultural sudden awakening. And they've been working on this for a couple of years. And it's quite astounding. And I looked into Einstein because Einstein too has some significance with these timings. It's like a greater elevation, you could say, of the brainstorm that he was, just as he did with Newton with gravity. So it says here, entanglement's a phenomenon, two particles linked in such a way that information shared with the other exactly the same time. So they're dependent on each other. And it's from one location to the other. So, and this is Caltech. There's another article too that went on to this, and it's more stable. Years back in 2016, they tried it, but it was unstable. The environment makes quite a difference, and they're planning to create a larger base around Chicago with these different groups. So they do need, as they say, they need a lot more work with it. And he says here that in theory, the idea, it was a spooky reaction at a distance. Well, let's look at what Einstein's chart says. So with Einstein right here, if we look back at Einstein's chart with the black hole, which was a year ago, I'll make sure that we can see this. Okay, here we are. So here is Albert Einstein, March 14th, 1879, and the black hole was a year ago and a half, April 9th, 2019, and it had been in 2 years working. Well, very interestingly, Einstein's nodes are 2 degrees north node Aquarius. Now, we just had a grand conjunction, you will see, at 0 degrees Aquarius. But what is significant here, I think, really, is that there's some correlation between his Pluto and the transiting Pluto. They're very close in a trine, which is supportive. It was supporting really this black hole, the work that he had prophesied or suggested. His was relativity, but he also thought there could be a black hole and that light would bend it. In fact, it very clearly it was because of the eclipse. It was part of his and the glory, the standpoint of his scientific work. And now also in this chart, you can see that his Uranus, which is in Virgo, ruled by Mercury, his Mercury was conjunct his Saturn, that anyway, that so both Uranuses were trine and Plutos were trine at the time of the black hole. Okay, so that was a supportive thing. Now this could be something that isn't quite so supportive. And so for this, I'm going to go into his, when he actually did the, and I trust you can see this too. This is when May 11th, 1916 in Berlin, he published the Theory of Relativity and the general relativity, as it turns out. And here is the 2020 grand conjunction. So immediately you notice, and you'd have to look at the other chart, but he was having a nodal return. Here it's 1 degree north node, and on his natal was 2 degrees. Well, this grand conjunction is just 2 degrees away. Both Jupiter and Saturn will be transiting that north node. In other words, Einstein's thoughts could be very pertinent just from one little clue. Now, there's other clues too. There's so many in a way. The transiting north node is conjunct his series of matter of reclaiming the 11th house of what would you say there? It would be of, well, in a collaborative form. That's just immediately speaking. Here, transiting Mercury conjunct the sun is opposite his natal Pluto, which, he was so transformational, but it's most interesting to consider that we're maybe changing some of the roots of what he was thinking, because if anything can go faster than the speed of light. Now, they're saying here that communication, because of this is what it's all drawing back with the NASA scientists, are saying that the qubits transferred faster than the speed of light over a distance of 27 miles. Now, anything that goes faster than the speed of light is heresy, almost heresy when you consider Einstein. Yet possibly the other factor that we build and renew on, and we elevate. Aquarius's elevation, as you can see, Jupiter and Saturn, this mutation of 200 years of air, and right conjunct will be transiting his north node. But also Pluto right now has been squaring Mars. and right now Mars and Eris. So it's inclusion. What has been excluded? What is being included? Well, thank you very much. This is Talk Cosmos Mini Connections with Sue Rose Minahan. Just subscribe. Yesterday was our weekly talk with the Moonbeam team, and thanks so much. It's just been great. And Happy New Year coming up. Okay.